Hey folks, in this video I just wanted to talk a little bit about meditation and uh, development and I guess personal evolution through the use of various types of meditation. And okay, so to start off with, Biosopha was mentioning to me that there are a lot of things that come up. A lot of issues that bubble up from childhood, perhaps from even during our very initial cognitive developmental stages where we started separating self from the rest of the world, the anxiety that may have arose because of that. And so yeah, I mean, a lot of that tends to happen during a regular practice, a practice that is consistent. There are these I guess you can call them developmental cruxes where like you over you dig up some old issue from the past and you learn to accept it, embrace it, transcend it, or you get stuck with it and you battle with it for a while, or both. I mean, it usually goes like that. You battle with something for a while and then eventually it fades out, it's released. And this can be a very powerful and transformative um, experience because these are issues that have been like deep rooted and have always been sort of down there, and we often forget what the original source of these things were. So we spend most of our time trying to figure out, oh, I'm so upset about, I don't know why, I just have this general anxiety. And then in a good practice, or even just naturally, things bubble up to the surface. So meditation has a very as Ken Wilber might say, it has a very vertical developmental aspect to it, as well as a horizontal, just be in the moment, be in the present sort of thing. So it can be both, and that's the great thing about it. It's both developmental and also, I guess the other word for it is just imminent and transcendent. So it's two things. Um, and in that case, I mean, it's very interesting because um, Vasafa also mentioned what's called Suzuki, Shinryo Suzuki, and he was saying, oh, um, discipline shouldn't you shouldn't emphasize Zen too much or get too excited about it, and that's totally true. Zen, when you become too attached to your practice, you lose the point of it. I mean, it's sort of like you get obsessed with staring, like you become obsessed with cones or something. You get lost in all the details, and then you miss the point. So I mean, it's a natural sort of balance. It's you can do it consistently, and you can have discipline with your practice. As far as the actual meditation itself, you can get better at. You can. It's a process of learning how to let the mind be silent. That's the part that requires discipline. But as far as it goes, you can meditate whenever you want to. You can meditate once a day, once a week, whatever is most appropriate for you. Whatever is usually most natural. It's not about fighting or even getting into things too unnaturally. If you're too zealous about Zen, maybe you should ask yourself, why am I feeling so much like this? And how can I better my practice? By becoming more still, um, becoming more aware. So I guess this leads me to the next aspect of Zen practice, which is the act of actually, like what it does. What does it do to the human being? What is so great about meditation that people practice it for? And often enough, it's usually its ability either to relax the body, relax the mind, sort of create a clean slate after a long week or a long day. It has it has different needs for different people, I guess you could say, and it fulfills multiple ones. It has a basic physical need, it relaxes your body. A psychodimensional emotional need. It relaxes our thought processes, it relaxes our emotions, and then also a spiritual fulfillment. It allows us to perhaps gain higher access or more direct access to a more imminent present reality, which some people call spiritual. Other people don't necessarily want to label it anything in particular, and that's very interesting as well. So yeah, there's these sort of different levels to it, I guess you could say, different aspects to it, and meditation can be approached for all of them, from one of them, but it usually ends up handling other ones too. There's a lot of byproducts with meditation, some positive, some negative. For some people, it can be very negative, but it usually means that adjusting their practice, because I mean, you may also want to, as you're uncovering past issues, some things bubble up that are really very difficult to deal with on your own, just, doing a sitting practice every day. So, I mean, some people may want to investigate seeing other forms of therapists besides self-therapy, because that's really partially what meditation is. It is a means to develop the self through bare attention and bare awareness. So, I guess all of this comes down to meditation is a means for the human being to evolve and to become more self-aware and to develop and master their body, mind, and spirit. I mean, it's very direct process, but it's very simple, because the people who are practicing for a while, they say, there's nothing complex about the teaching. Ultimately, I mean, if you want to dabble in the metaphysics and all that, go ahead. But the teaching itself is very simple, chop wood, carry water, or even just sit here, be here now. Or as Wei Wu Wei says, there is no becoming, all is. I mean, they're very basic, direct descriptions of reality. And I think I mentioned this in another video. Thich Nhat Hanh said, enlightenment is the absence of views. It is not needing to have any viewpoints which are stuck in a rational analysis, and an analytic viewpoint of reality. It's being able to use that, but not be stuck in it. The absence of views, and instead, you perceive directly into reality, which is wisdom. And I think that's very interesting, although, of course, you must be careful, because there are lots of experiences that happen during meditation that, if you took what Thich Nhat Hanh had said too literally, then you might end up interpreting things you experience as literal and real, and just because you're a mystic and meditate doesn't mean all these things are real. For instance, in Zen, 3 Pillars of Zen, there's a nice long dialogue about some strange phenomenon that pop up during Zen practice, and a lot of the students ask their Roshi, what's with this weird light, what's with this weird vision, and the Roshi tells them, pay no mind, these are the phenomena of Zen sitting. Please just focus on the breath, bring yourself back, don't become enthralled in a particular aspect and kind of go off on a tangent from your sitting. And I'm sure some things would be very interesting, other things probably would be ultimately indescribable and probably not answerable. It doesn't mean that some of these things are true, aren't true, or are true. It doesn't mean that some aspects, the strange phenomenal aspects of meditation, such as seeing, having some kind of psychic thing or whatever, it doesn't mean that's not real. For the most part, empirical science cannot say too much about that. And the good thing is, Zen doesn't want you to say too much about that either. In fact, it just wants you to continue to follow your breath. So on that note, yeah, I guess that's it for this video. Just reflections on the general discussion, where it's been going. Trying to become a little bit more tangible about it, just getting into the more of the details. But with this sort of focus, I do recommend reading Ken Wilber, especially what he has to say about development and meditation, especially particularly spiritual development. And yeah, I think that's about it. So yeah, thanks for listening, and please make a comment or a reply video, whatever you'd like.